I effed up by telling my girlfriend my type. My girlfriend Lisa and I were hanging out at her apartment last weekend, just watching Netflix and eating takeout Chinese food. We'd been dating for about 4 months, and everything was going really well. She's funny, smart, and we never run out of things to talk about. We were watching this romantic comedy where the main guy was describing his dream girl to his friend. Lisa paused the movie and asked me, "So what's your type anyway? Like, what kind of girl are you usually attracted to?" I should have just said you and left it at that. But no, my brain decided to be honest and detailed. I started describing my usual type from before I met her. I told her I usually went for really tall girls, like model height. Lisa is 5'4". I mentioned that I typically liked girls with long straight hair, and Lisa has shoulder-length curly hair. Then I said I was usually drawn to really athletic girls who spend a lot of time at the gym. Lisa works as a librarian, and her idea of exercise is walking to the coffee shop on her lunch break. The more I talked, the quieter she got. I could see her face changing, but I kept going like an idiot. I told her about my ex Rachel, who was 5'9" and ran marathons. How she had this perfect straight blonde hair and could bench press more than most guys. I even mentioned how my friends always said I had a thing for girls who looked like they belonged in fitness magazines. When I finished my little speech, Lisa just stared at me. Then she asked, "So basically I'm the complete opposite of everything you usually find attractive?" That's when I realized how badly I'd messed up. I tried to backtrack and explain that meeting her had changed what I found attractive, but the damage was already done. Lisa got really quiet and said she needed to use the bathroom. She was gone for like 15 minutes, and when she came back, her eyes were red like she'd been crying. The rest of the night was super awkward. She barely talked to me and kept checking her phone. When I tried to hold her hand, she pulled away. I left around 10 and she barely said goodbye. For the next 3 days, she didn't return my texts or calls. When she finally responded, it was just short one-word answers. I knew I had to do something big to fix this, so I showed up at the library where she works with her favorite coffee and a handwritten letter. I sat down at one of the reading tables and waited for her lunch break. When she saw me, she looked annoyed but came over anyway. I handed her the letter and told her to read it right there in front of me. The letter explained how stupid I'd been and how my so-called type was just based on shallow stuff that didn't actually matter. I wrote about how her laugh made me smile even when I was having the worst day, and how she remembered every little thing I told her about my family. I told her about how she made me want to read more books because she got so excited talking about stories. How she was the first girl who made me feel like I could be myself without pretending to be cooler than I actually was. The best part was when I wrote about how she looked when she got really passionate about something, like when she was telling me about this new book display she'd organized. I said that was way more beautiful than any magazine cover. By the time she finished reading, she was crying again, but this time she was smiling too. She said the letter was the sweetest thing anyone had ever written for her. Then she told me something that made me feel even worse. She said she'd actually been planning to start working out more and maybe grow her hair longer to try to become more like my type. I grabbed her hands and told her that would be the worst thing ever because I fell for her exactly as she was. We ended up talking for her entire lunch break, and I apologized about 50 more times. That was 2 months ago, and things have been amazing ever since. I learned to keep my mouth shut about past relationships, and Lisa learned that she was perfect just the way she was. Last week she asked me again what my type was, and I said, 5'4" librarians with curly hair who cry at romantic comedies. She laughed and said that was much better.